Welcome back to my channel. I am K to the K to the K to the but welcome back to K about the reaction. Today I'm gonna be reacting to 20 best anime shonen of all time. So without further ado, let's get into this video.
Looking at my views, and it's no doubt that action anime is a favourite for you guys. It's all cool, I'm one of you too. So instead of counting down the top 10 this time, I'm going to go for 20 titles. 20 of my favourite action shonen. Yeah, you heard that right. It's the biggest VidTube video yet, and we're going to have double the fun today. After all, we're fast approaching 1 million subs, so here's something for a preemptive celebration perhaps. What I define as action shonen is a title that has battles and a bit of adventure as its primary hook, which is why some titles that I feel could belong in this list don't exactly make it due to technicality. Ranked number 20 on my list is Noragami.
Oh my god, I watched it on amazing.
We start off with something modern. Noragami is what I'd call short and sweet, and it's one of my favourite anime in early 2014. It has a lovable cast of characters set in an urban setting that heavily intersects with the spiritual. It was quite the hit back in the day. Not mainstream popular, but Yato, Hiyori, and Yukine's antics endeared them enough to get the show a sequel, Noragami Arigoto, and how could it not? It's an urban fantasy action show that places surprisingly heavy emphasis on character development. We really get to feel for the characters and grow attached to them as it goes through their interpersonal drama that heavily characterizes most of the series. From Yato to Hiyori to side characters like Bishamon, the characters are very fleshed out. This thing sorely needed another sequel, and is mainly the reason why it's rated at only number 20, especially after the way Arigoto ended. It's one of the curious cases wherein the season 1 ending had more closure, so it makes me think that if it just ended up being a one and done anime, I would have been perfectly fine with it. But the stopping point for season 2 changed my mind. Number 19, we go to a classic favourite, Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball as a franchise needs little explanation. Even if you're someone new to the whole anime thing, there would surely be an anime boomer out there telling you about how great the exploits of Goku and his pals were back in the day. It's just a testament as to how big of an influence the series had in shaping the childhoods of 90s kids. If you're going to let me have a biased opinion, I really love it. It's got a lot of cool moments of fights, and I feature it in so many of my videos. But I have it just at number 19, because taking those fights away, and you have a shonen that's somewhat bare bones, especially compared to a lot of the more modern shows. It's not aged very well in my opinion, even compared to the 2000 shonen, but that's what Super's for, right? To keep the show up to speed with the modern era. Here's a niche title for the number 18th rank, Claymore. I legitimately wonder how many people have watched Claymore in 2022. Not a lot, I assume. Even back in its day, it was quite the niche title, even as it's part of Shonen Jump. It takes place in a medieval land that's plagued by shape-shifting demons called Yoma, and the ones standing in their way are female warriors who are also part Yoma, called Claymores by the public. It's a show that I enjoyed, and I think a lot of people would like it. It has an interesting premise, strong characters like the Claymores who have their share of action scenes to shine in, and a lot of great fighting too. However, I take points away from the anime because of how it seems so unfinished as an adaptation. The production values haven't aged too well either. Black Clover bursts its way into rank 17. Here's something most of you are familiar with. I feel that the mystique in Black Clover has a lot to do with its world and magic system. It's always interesting to watch a battle shonen with such a particular edge with its characters, its spells, and the overall way it handles its fights. It's very immersive when the ball got rolling, and while the production quality has been inconsistent due to its long-runner nature, it hits the mark when it comes to moments that matter. Sorry, Dean's 7 Deadly Sins. I personally admire Black Clover and its fans. The anime is the subject of much criticism early on in its run, but the fans have stuck with it and got rewarded with one of the better new-gen and immersive shonen long runners. It's the true embodiment of a journey that pays off, a meta parallel to Asta's underdog story from laughingstock to hero, ironically. In 16th place, we go back to the Sengoku period with Doro. Doro isn't a new series. In fact, if we take everything I've talked about so far, Doro is the oldest series. Its first anime dating back to the end of the 1960s. It's also one of Osamu Tezuka's popular works, which is why it got a modernized version. Among the modern remakes of old titles such as Bem, it's the one that ended up being the best for me. The story of Yakimaru fighting demons and finding his humanity through the journey has been beautifully captured in the modern version. Crisp fighting scenes, pretty visuals that capture the essence of the rural Sengoku era, a lot of emotional moments, and a story that keeps you wanting more. I didn't hear much noise on Doro when it was first airing, and I think that a lot of people missed out on a great 2019 show. Then again, it's a show that had the first Kaguya, Quince, and Shield hero in it, not to mention the only Promised Neverland anime. Yeah, the only one. Rank 15 is World Trigger. World Trigger is in a weird spot. It started out with its first season right at the first half of the 2010s, and it was barely talked about. Some blame the approach in the adaptation, while others blame the art. Me? I think the show's underrated, and it does take a while to rev up. Thankfully, we did get our sequel last year, and it's where the series starts to show its mettle, with a lot of high-octane fights that are just filled with exciting moments and epic animation, a contrast from the middling first season. A true example of a show getting better as it goes on, both in terms of presentation and plot. Oh, and let's not forget the world building and the ability to make us feel attached to the characters and development. World Trigger needed over 70 episodes to get to this point, which is why I'd usually recommend someone to read the manga when it comes to this series. Well, at least for the first few arcs. In 14th place is My Hero Academia.
Oh my god. Oh, My Hero Academia. I haven't watched it.
The closest we can get to a modern equivalent to the classic 2000 shonen archetype. Underdog hero in a bright, idealistic world with a setting that appeals mostly to the younger demographic. It feels like the stock shonen, but given the plot developments we've had so far, I'd say that it also has a lot to offer to older fans. I like the creativity on display with the powers, and I like how it also goes out of the way to give the villains some shine. The show also has several compelling characters that get developed as the story progresses. From a critical standpoint, it may not be the best shonen out there, but there's no denying its influence, and that's why it's right here at number 14. Speaking of cultural influence, Demon Slayer is 13th on my list. By far, the show that gave the most impact in the past couple of years in the world of anime is Demon Slayer. It just blew up in a way that's unprecedented since the days of Attack on Titan Season 1. That's just how big it got, and it mostly did it on the heels of eye-opening animation and art. There's just a signature flair to how the art was done for the series, and I'm not just talking about the Rui fights. The attacks, the character presentation, and even the backgrounds and so all contribute to the appeal of the story so much. The plot's simple, and I stand by what I said, that it's no 10 out of 10 masterpiece. However, it's still a damn good shonen to watch and introduce to your pals. It's also quite dark and violent for a shonen title, and I bet that helps improve its popularity. Almost entering the halfway point, we look at Rurouni Kenshin in 12th place. Another timeless classic, Rurouni Kenshin feels different for its time. Instead of having a spitfire of energy, we have an introverted pacifist for a protagonist. Seeking redemption, Kenshin embodies a kind of inner strength that we rarely saw emphasized in the protagonists of the 90s. That alone makes the title notable in its heyday. And there's also the lack of focus on superpowers and such that have become synonymous with the popular shonen titles, instead delving more on character drama and build-up. But that's not to say that the fights aren't good, as it also has some of the best sword fights that the 90s could give us. Those things really gave Rurouni Kenshin a unique edge over its peers. It was one of my favourites amongst the classics, with Shishio arc being the peak of its popularity. It's got a unique approach that helped it reach heights, and anime filler hell unfortunately cut its momentum short. This is a show that could have benefited from the throttled releases that My Hero Academia does.
From Mr. Clean Magic Eraser powers through tough messes. Makes it look like I spent hours cleaning. No, I didn't.
Not just a ring, it's a wedding solution. Find the right fit in minutes at home. This is the Rich Bevel ring.
From ancient Japan, we take to the Arabian deserts for Magi. The interesting thing is that statement only really holds true for select parts of this fantastic adventure. Magi starts off giving us a new take on the whole Arabian Nights theme, but with anime powers akin to something like Bleach.
Oh
we
my
then go
God,
on a
I
trip
watch
that
it.
takes us through the various corners of the world, a world that happens to mirror parts of the real world actually, like ancient Rome, China, or the Indian Islands. Magi, for all the fantastical elements, does feel like a shonen that hits closer to home. The main appeal is the powers and the adventure for me, but it's also got its chance to show off its metal in other aspects that we rarely see get this much focus in shonen, such as politics and philosophy. Not to say that the anime is some too deep for you show because it talks about politics. At the end of it all, it's mainly just a bright, idealistic shonen that's mainly about the trip. The ride as Alibaba and Aladdin learn more about the world and grow through their interactions with people from all backgrounds. It's a definite recommendation for me. We're at the halfway point now, and this is usually where I tell you to subscribe. Subscribing helps the channel reach its goal. So if you like what you've been seeing and want more, then please make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. However, I'd actually also like to take this moment to name a lot of honourable mentions that didn't quite make it to this list. We only have slots for 20 titles after all. So here they are, and they're in no specific order. Shaman King, Nura, Rise of the Yokai Clan, Fairy Tail, Brave,
Oh my God, Fairy Tail did not make the list.
Soul Eater,
Soul Eater did not make the list.
Seraph of the Air, Blockade Battlefront. Now, do you have any other honourable mentions that you've got in mind so far? Stay tuned for the next half of this exciting list.
Oh my God.
Coming on for
This
the
is
break,
the top
we've got a
10.
personal favourite of mine,
Bleach.
Bleach. I know it's nigh impossible to talk about Bleach without mentioning the 2000s and the big three, so I'll talk about what sets it apart from the other two. If you're asking me why I love Bleach so much and why some people like it the best amongst the hit shonen of the 2000s, I'd say that it's the one that seems the most mature in its presentation. The characters feel like they're part of our world more, and as teens start to break into adulthood then, people especially connected with the struggles of the characters, whereas the worlds of something like Naruto just felt a little bit distant. Bleach is a very influential title that it helped spurning a new generation of anime fans in the day. It's also got some of the best aesthetics, from the Shinigami to the Hollows, Quincy's and Arrancar. The designs are top notch, all coming with a flavour that's uniquely theirs. That's not to mention the powers and how full of stakes the early fights seem. Sure, the series has its flaws and it's almost worn out its welcome by the time the Fullbringer arc came around, but there's a reason that there's clamour for more Bleach and quite some buzz for the upcoming sequel, one that's been a decade in the making. We can't talk about Bleach without the show that it feels like a spiritual successor to, Yu Yu Hakusho.
I've never seen it.
Urban fantasy setting, ragtag group of comrades that fight and have adventures in the spiritual realm, and a protagonist who gets involved in the spirit realm thanks to contact with the supernatural. Yeah, it's easy to see why people call Bleach a spiritual successor to Yu Yu Hakusho. In a lot of ways, the two are the same, yet they are quite different. Yu Yu Hakusho does have a lot of merits. The fighting feels well constructed, and it's got outstanding humour and depth for what people could easily pass off as your everyday supernatural battle shonen. It may not have the same level Bleach has in terms of flashiness, the stylishness and complicatedness of the fights and powers later in the story, but Yu Yu Hakusho feels just as rounded as a series. It has arcs that feel simpler but philosophical and just as engaging and enjoyable. If you like one of the two, chances are you like the other as well. We then move to 8th place, where the second member of the Jump Big Three is
Naruto is number 8.
It seems to me that among the anime fans of the 2000s, there's no title as influential to them becoming aware of the medium than Naruto. It was big back in the day, back when there wasn't much internet access and online communities to grow. It felt like the flagship title of that era, and for good reason too. What's not to like about Naruto? Assuming you're someone who's clueless about the medium. It's got a plucky underdog story, a unique take on the concept of ninjas for its time, some very nice life lessons to be learned, even though border more on idealistic than realistic. It's no surprise that the show has influenced a whole generation of fans. As for me, I found myself captivated by the interesting world and the growth of our protagonist. Following orange jumpsuit era Naruto through his journey into the world's greatest hero by the time the story ends is an ode to the journey that we all take growing up, and the way Naruto the series presented it is very satisfying. Right after that, we have the hottest member of the new generation in town, Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh my God, Jujutsu Kaisen is lit, bro.
There's an
I gotta get back to it, bro.
Shonen the same way
I have to get back
in
to
its
it.
day, it's got to be Jujutsu Kaisen. The series just screams edgy and cool, and there's no better way than to show that than to have some of the best fight sequences in modern shonen. It's got a lot of moments to remember thanks to the superb production quality, and we can tell that MAPPA gave their all with this. It's a very fun experience watching Jujutsu Kaisen overall. Like Demon Slayer, I call this a middle-of-the-road show that's infinitely elevated by production quality, but it's got a lot of great moments to remember it for. Almost everything Gojo does, and all of the fights in the Kyoto Goodwill arc, the main character's personal highlights like Megumi's moment in the last few episodes, it's a show that's very accessible for everyone, and there's a lot to like. And at the end of the day, if you're going to ask a casual watcher or someone looking to get into the medium, that's what matters the most for a shonen anime, right? 6th place is One Piece, the biggest action shonen in
Really? One
Japan.
Piece that's 6? One Piece is good. I don't care what people say. I'm not gonna start saying this. One Piece is a good anime. Yes, in the beginning it's killing, but if you keep watching it, it's a good anime. Yes. It's a long
It's a show
anime.
that represents endless possibilities. Just as it has a setting tailor-made for the series to go on indefinitely, One Piece is the action shonen that is made to be full of surprises. There's just so much that can be done in the world of One Piece, and through several arcs and adventures that Luffy and the group have gone through, I found myself cherishing a lot of them. Those exciting cheers of triumph in the heat of epic battles, those dramatic moments that pull both mine and the characters' hearts, and the sheer anticipation of what comes next. I'll never forget them. Watching it all can be a daunting task, but I promise that the journey is worth it. When you get to the key moments, make sure to let it all sink in.
Even though I kind of stopped watching it,
Title that looks so
I gotta get back to it. I watched a good chunk of
millions
it.
of people in the world. Oh, and trust me, if this
I
was a
watched a
manga list, it would have been
good chunk of it
higher.
to become a fan of
Unfortunately,
it.
like some other long-running anime on this list, it suffers from inconsistent animation and pacing issues due to the addition of in-canon fillers. That's why I recommend you watch the one-pace version, which will save up a lot of your time.
Oh, all the filler arcs, I don't really watch them.
The quicker picker up.
Like, watching the filler arcs, chill me off.
My 5th best action shonen is none other than JoJo.
I saw this, never saw, I saw it,
JoJo
never
is an
watched
anime
it.
that's been helped by the internet. I mean, the series has become quite ubiquitous with meme culture and the internet side of the anime fandom. Without the help of those, I doubt the franchise would have exploded the way it did, but I am very thankful for that. Because for all the craziness and the over-the-top elements that's in it, JoJo is a well-thought-out battle shonen. The way that the seasons connect with each other and take us through generations of characters is something that amazed me when I first stumbled upon it. It's also the poster child for wild, dumb, fun in the world of anime. Almost nothing indicates that the series takes itself seriously, but it's what makes it special and allows it to deliver some of the most memorable moments in anime, such as the 7-page Muda, amongst others. Rank number 4 is Gintama.
No, sorry.
Gintama, I can say, is the master of multiple genres. Fans love it for its very intense and dramatic moments, but they also love how it can go all in on the comedic and parody aspects. I say that's the big appeal of Gintama, its propensity in switching gears and giving you the best of the two ends of the spectrum, all without inducing mood whiplash. One moment you'll be laughing along with Gintoki and the gang, and the next moment you'll be at the edge of your seat while watching an extremely gripping segment helped by great sound and art direction, one that's evolved alongside the years. It also helps that Gintama has some of my favourite villains and side characters in action shonen. Bonus points for finishing the story in one of the best possible ways. A banger of a movie featuring some of the most epic fights the series has to offer. On another note, it's not an anime I'd recommend to someone who's new to the world of anime, as it's got a lot of references and parodies of other anime which a newcomer might not be familiar with. The honour of being the 3rd best action shonen goes to Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh my god, Full Metal Alchemist
another classic.
is
FMA
a good
has been
anime.
recommended to death by people. It's just that good. It's a series rife
Oh,
with action,
like,
also
this should
filled
give
with
me
a lot of
more of this.
storylines
I
that make
loved
you
it.
ponder. It's quite the profound shonen that deals a lot with morality and the like, all while packaging the whole thing excellently in an exciting series full of epic fights and adventures. It didn't quite penetrate the normie consciousness the same level as the bigger battle shonen anime did. That's more to do with the fact that this is a show that's not
I'm
as
curious
easy
what's
to
at number
consume.
1 and
Things
2.
move at a slow burn at times, much to the benefit of its themes and messages. That's
What's
certainly
that
a
one?
reason this
What's
show
that?
is still getting recommended by people this 2022 compared to a lot of the more popcorn entertainment peers. In terms of writing and thematic meaning in shonen anime, it's hard to trump FMA. In 2nd place is the 2013 sensation Attack on Titan.
Really? Really?
Yeah,
I haven't watched. All of Attack on Titan, what's the first season? Attack on Titan better than One Piece and Naruto?
Even after watching it and seeing the
And Dragon Ball Z?
convoluted plot lines, the depth of characterization and relationships, as well as the social commentaries, you wouldn't think that it's something that belongs with the likes of Fairy Tail. But it is indeed published in a shonen magazine, and that's beautiful. It's something like Death Note in that the heaviness of the subject matter creates a fake out. Overall, Attack on Titan is worth the hype. It starts off catching everyone's attention by giving us a thrilling setup of humans fighting for survival, one that's devoid of the usual shonen plot armor or other usual tropes, giving us something that looks so unique in the world of anime for its time back in 2013. Then, once it's got our attention, it starts talking to us, showing us the depth of humanity's derangement and a lot of other social problems we face, all while not letting go of the action. As some of the epic moments in the latter seasons, like Levi fights or the cinematic clash at the end of season 3 prove. Finally, I have Hunter x Hunter as my best action shonen anime.
Oh my god, it's Hunter number 1. It was a
There's just a lot of ways to express why this is my
anime,
favourite shonen anime, and why I think it deserves recognition for being one of the best ones out there. A lot of people laud Hunter x Hunter for its generalist appeal and lack of reliance on shonen tropes. It's not as in-your-face, subversive as Attack on Titan tropes could be, but it doesn't need to be. It treads the standard shonen fare while integrating some dark and mature moments and truly showcases the power of the medium. Despite having the appearance of a simplistic shonen for young people, it gets rather unorthodox in its approach to battle, power-ups, character arcs and such, and people eventually realise that there's much to this show than appearances first suggest. Truly a masterpiece in the realm of shonen storytelling. Hunter x Hunter deserves all the acclaim it's been getting. The memes about the manga's hiatus have overshadowed the actual content at times, but the fact that people still eagerly await the series even after 2 decades is proof of how much it touched the hearts of millions worldwide. And that wraps it up. This has been one of my
great video. Love it. Let me know if you, let me know in the comment section what you think about that video. Let me know if you're good. Let me know anything you want me to react to. Could be anime, don't have to be anime, anything. Let me know in the comment section down below. Until next time, subscribe to the channel. Get a notification bell to get notified when I post another video. I'll most definitely drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video. Until next time, I'm out of here.